Hello friends, welcome to Rajas Data Engineering. In this tutorial, I'm going to explain Databricks utility commands. These commands are mainly used to interact with Databricks file system. And also these commands are used to, uh, to run the notebook internally. For example, one notebook can call another notebook. So in order to run the notebooks manually from one notebook, we can use these commands. And these commands are also used to handle input and output parameters while calling the other notebooks. The input parameters are handled in the form of widgets in Databricks. So using Databricks utility commands, we can create input widgets. Another important purpose of these commands are to retrieve the secrets from Azure Key Vault. While working in Databricks, mostly we are integrating with external systems such as external databases. So in order to interact with the external databases through Databricks, we have to use the connection string. Connection string will consist of username and password for the database, but it is always not good idea to save the or hard code the credentials within Databricks notebook. So in these cases, the credentials would be kept in Key Vault, and through Databricks utility commands, we can retrieve the password or secrets. Let us see the comments. And these Databricks utility commands are categorized as file system, notebook, widgets, and secret. The first thing is, if you want to understand the command or if you want help on these systems, then you can use these things. dbutils.fs.help. This command is used to get some help for file system related Databricks utility commands. The second one is used for notebook related commands. The third one, this help is used to get some idea on the widgets. Fourth one is for secret. And if you want to understand any particular command related to file system, then what you can do is you can use this syntax. You can give dbutils.fs.help. You can pass the command as a parameter. For example, cp. This is used to copy the file from one folder to another folder. So I want to get more idea on this particular command. Then I can get more help using this one. Similarly, if I want to get help from notebook command exit, then I can execute this command dbutils.notebook.help exit. So let me execute this first. I have already created workspace in Databricks Community Edition, and my cluster is already up and running. So let us start the demo. So first I want to get some help for file system command. So this is the command dbutils.fs.command help. So let me execute this one. Here you can see this command gives idea on all other commands related to file system. So here you can see cp. This is used for copying a file from one directory to another directory. Also, it provides a syntax. Okay, here this cp command accepts these parameter. Okay, first from which location to which location we have to mention. And there is one more parameter, triggers, which means, for example, if you are copying from one folder to another folder, and we want to consider all the subfolder, then we have to copy recursively. So which means we have to give this recurse value true. By default, this value would be false. The next command head, this is used to display the output of a file. And we can see the syntax here, the parameters that it accepts. The next one, ls, this is used to list all the files under a particular directory, including the subdirectory. mkdirs, this command is used to create new folder or making new directory. mv, this command is used to move the file from one folder to another folder. Copy will just copy the file, so it will create one more copy, but it will move the file from the source location to target location. So the file would be eliminated in the source location. Put, this command is actually used to create file. rm removes file or directory from the file system. So we are going to see the demo for all these commands one by one. And the last one, mount. There is some concept called mounting. So in Databricks, if we have to interact with the external file system, the first step is we have to mount. For example, sometimes we have to work with Azure Azure Data Lake Storage or Amazon S3 bucket. So what we have to do is first we have to mount that storage location to Databricks. Then we can, Databricks will treat that as a local folder. We can work on that part. So in this demo, I'm not going to cover mounting, but still I will give you the syntax. I will give you some fair idea, but I'm not going to execute because I don't have any external file system at the moment, but I will post a video later for mounting. Coming to next command, we have covered all the FS related commands. Coming to notebook commands, I'm going to get some help from Databricks for notebook related commands. So there are two commands. Let me execute this first. Here you can see there are two commands. One is run, another one is exit. So if I have to execute a notebook, then I can call this one dbutils.notebook.run. So it accepts these parameters. We need to give the path and also timeout seconds. And the notebook accepts any parameters or arguments that also we need to pass. And another one, exit. While the secondary notebook got executed, then it can return some value to the master notebook. So that value can be captured using this exit. The next one, widgets command. So if you want to get any help for widgets related command, then we can execute this one to dbutils.widgets.help. Let me execute this one. So we can handle input parameters using various methods. The most commonly used method would be text box. Now we can create a text box and we can give certain value, and we can pass value while calling the notebook, another notebook. Or similarly, if you have to handle with multiple values, text box can hold only one value. But if you have to work with multiple values, then we can go with compo box or drop down box. Both are almost the same. Or if you have to go with multi-select option, then there is one more command called multi-select. And this get and get argument, these commands are used to retrieve the value that are passed through compo box or text box. Coming to remove, these text or compo drop down, these commands are used to create the widgets in the notebook. But if you have to remove the already created widgets, then we can use remove. If you want to remove particular widget, then we can use remove. But if you want to remove all the widgets from the notebook, then we can go for remove all. And the last one, that is dbutils secrets.help. As I told, secret is used to store the password or any credentials for any system. So we cannot hard code within Databricks. So we need to store the secrets somewhere. And these commands are used to retrieve those secrets. So let me execute this one. Here, get and get bytes. Now these commands will retrieve the data from the system, external system. Maybe it could be Azure Key Vault, or it could be any secret storing system. The list and list scopes, these things will list down all the secrets. Now list will list down the secrets, and list scopes will list down all the scopes. And I want to get help on a particular command. Let's say in the file system. Now I want to get some help on CP for this command. So what I can do, I can simply put CP. Now dbutils.fs.help and CP. Let me execute this one. See here, it returns the help message only for CP command. So similarly, for any command, not only for file system, for notebook, widgets, or secrets, similarly, we can get help for all the command list or any particular command. Okay. So in this slide, I have given the complete list of commands that are used in Databricks utility. I have segregated for all the categories that I explained earlier: file system, notebook, secrets, and widgets. So we will see one by one. So I will show in the demo one by one. So these are the file system related commands. The first one, that is ls. Now this will list down all the files and folders under a folder. So here it accepts a parameter of a path. So here I have given path file store, so tables, baby names. I have already uploaded three files under this folder. I can show that. So it's the same workspace. I have created one more window. Let me get into the file system. Here you can see file store, tables, baby names, and there are three files I have already created. So when we use ls command, it will list down all the files under this particular folder. So let me execute this one. Here you can see there are three files got listed. Now it is giving the name and also the size of the file. So there are three files. Moving on to the next command, head. Head is basically used to display the content of a file. For example, I want to see the content of the file baby names underscore 2007 2009. So how can I do? I can this is the file baby names 2007 to 2009. The content of this file is this one. So I want to display this output in the Databricks system. So I can use head command. So here dbutils.fs.head, I have given the path. This is absolute path. Okay, file store tables baby names, and I have given the file name. Let me execute. Here you can see year, first name, country, sex, count. No, here we can see. Then the next line starts. So this is how Databricks file system display the content of a file. Moving on to the next command, mkdars. This command is used to create new folder. For example, I want to create a new folder under tables. Okay, baby names underscore test. Currently, we have only one folder, that is baby underscore name under tables. But I want to create one more folder, baby names folder. Let me execute this one. True, which means the execution is successful. Now the a new folder baby names test got created. So let me check that. So let me refresh. Here you can see one more folder got created. So mkdars is this is used to create new folder. Moving on to the next command, cp, that is actually used to copy the file from one location to another location. So we need to give from path and also to path. So here I want to move the file baby names 2007 to 2009. That file I want to move from baby names folder to baby names test. So currently we don't have any files under baby names test. See here, we don't have anything, but under baby names, we have three files. So let me copy this one. Let me execute this command. Execution is successful. Let me check the folder, baby names test. Now we can see the file got transferred from baby names to baby names test. This is a copy, which means it has created one more copy under the new folder, but still the same file will be available in old or from source file path also. Here we can see. And the next command is mv, that is moving the file from one location to another location. So the second file, I want to move from baby names location to baby names test. That is the file name is baby names 2010 to 2012. So currently the file baby names 2010 to 2012 that is available under baby names, but it is not available under baby names test. So let me execute this one. Move will permanently move the file from source to target. So we cannot find the file in source again. I have executed, the execution is successful. So let me check that. So first let me check baby names test. Here we can see now it has moved the file, and let me check the source location. We cannot see that file. So here we have used move command, which means it will move the file from source to target and it will remove from source from the source path. Next one, put command creates a new file within the Databricks file system. So for example, I want to create a new file under baby names test, and I want to name the file test.txt, and the content of that file would be hello world. I can give anything, but here simply it is creating one text file, that is test.txt under baby names test. Okay, currently we don't have this file test.txt under baby names test. Yes, we don't have. So let me execute this one. Great. It has created, it has written the file, and the execution is successful. And we can see the file in the file system. See here, it has created one test file, test.txt. I want to see the content of this file. How can I do? So I can use head command that we have seen earlier. Now, newly we have created this file, so I want to see the content of this file. So I'm executing. This is the content of the file, hello world. So basically, put command used to create new files. Coming to next command, rm. This command is used to delete a file from a location. So we have to give the file name or folder name. So here I have given the file name. So I'm going to remove this file, baby names 2007 to 2009 from baby names test location. Okay, so I'm going to remove this one. So let me execute this now. So before executing, let me show you this folder, baby names underscore test, that is containing the file baby names 2007 to 2009. So let me execute this one. Execution is successful. Let me check the file folder once again. See, the folder got removed. It got deleted from this location. Okay, if I want to remove the entire folder baby names test, how can I do? So for that, I can give the folder name, and I can pass one more parameter, true, which means it will recursively remove all the files under this folder, and if there is any subfolder, then it will remove that also. So let me execute this one. Execution is true. Now we cannot see this folder baby underscore names underscore test. So let me refresh. See here, it has removed. Now we have only one folder, baby underscore names. Good. We have covered all the commands in the file system dbutils.fs. Now moving to the next category, that is dbutils notebook commands. So in order to execute a notebook, this is the syntax dbutils.notebook.run, and we have to give the notebook name. So I have already created another notebook, that is 06 training. Okay, this is basically listing all the files under this particular folder. Then it is reading the CSV file from that location. It is doing simple operation. So I want to execute this notebook from another notebook, that is dbutils. So this notebook, internally calling another notebook. So in order to perform this operation, we can use dbutils.notebook.run command. So we need to pass two parameters. One is notebook name, another one is timeout second. Okay, till what time Spark can wait. If that notebook is not executed within 60 seconds, then it will throw error, timeout error. Okay, let me. But I could not execute this one because currently I'm using Databricks Community Edition. This feature is not supporting in Databricks Community Edition. I need to take full subscription. So currently it will throw error if I'm going to execute, but you can learn the syntax. So let me execute. You can see here. To enable notebook workflow, please upgrade your Databricks subscription. So I'm not going to do that now. So moving to the next category, that is widgets command. So in widgets, first let me show you. I have created another notebook for that purpose. Okay, training underscore widgets. So here, in order to create widgets, we have to use dbutils.widgets.text. We have multiple options. First, we will start with here. We can create text box, combo box, drop box, multi-select. we can create multiple widgets. First, I will start with text. So here TB will start widgets.text, and we need to provide the name for that input box. And second, we can give value. And if you want to pass any default value, then we can give in the third parameter. So basically, it accepts 3 parameters. First, we have to give name, and second, we have to give the value for that input box, and the third parameter would be default value. So let me execute this one, then it will create. You can see here it has created file name. Now let me remove. It was actually coming from my previous execution, but let me do one thing. Let me remove this one. So if I have to remove all, this is the command. So let me comment these 2 commands. Execute this one. It has removed all the widgets. OK, so let me remove. Let me execute. Now you can see there are no widgets. I am going to create the widgets once again. It got created. OK, file name and folder name. So this is how we can create widget. And what is the use of this widget? So this will accept input value from the calling notebook. If there is some master notebook that is calling this training widgets notebook, then what will happen is the master notebook would pass certain input parameters that would be captured here. So how to get the value? How to get the value to some variable? So this is how we can retrieve the value from this text box and assign it to another variable. So in this case, we have to use command tvutils widget start get. So it will then we need to mention the widget name. So here already we have created 2 folder name and file name. So that I'm giving as input, and I'm retrieving the value and storing in a variable file location. So if I'm going to print the value, then whatever the value got passed by another notebook, that would be displayed here. And finally, after collecting these 2 variables, I am passing into another operation, that is reading the data from that location. So here I am passing the folder name and file name. It will create absolute path for a CSV file. Then that CSV file would be read in this data frame. It will create a data frame. So here for this widgets, the data might come from another notebook, or here also for testing purpose we can populate. Let me populate some value test underscore file, and here I am putting test underscore folder. So let me execute this one. So what happens is, this folder name will receive this value, and this file name will receive this value, and that would be assigned to folder location and file location. Now in the next step, I'm printing those values. Let me execute this one. See here, folder variable is, this is what I have given. So, and I'm giving folder location. So that value is actually coming from here, test folder. Similarly, file location is coming from this text box. So this is how it works. So here what I'm doing is, now I'm combining these 2, file location plus folder location. I'm combining both of them, and it will be absolute path for CSV file, and that would be read in this data frame DF. I hope you understood. So let me call this notebook from another notebook, from our master notebook. So this is our master notebook. So I'm going to call the other notebook. For that, syntax is %run. Then I have to give the path name. I have to give the notebook name. So I have given the notebook name. Then I need to pass 2 parameters, that is folder name, and another one is file name. So in order to pass parameters, we have to use this dollar symbol, then folder name. I have given this name, file store underscore file store tables baby names, and the file name is baby names 2007 to 2009. I think we don't have this file now. So, and file name baby names 2013 2014. Okay, let me execute this one. So what happens is, these input values would be passed to this notebook, and these values would be replaced by the parameters that we are passing. and based on that it will create the folders, folder location and file location. By combining the folder location and file location, it will create the absolute path, and based on that it will create the data frame, and that would be displayed as output as the end of this execution. So let me execute this one. Here you can see the execution is successful. As I told, it has returned, it has created the data frame by reading the CSV file, and that is displayed. I hope you understood the widgets, text, how to create text widgets and how to get the value. So let us see few more examples for drop down, combo box, multi select. Now let me comment the next two. Let me create a drop down widget. Basically, I'm creating a widget and I'm giving a name drop down and giving the value 1 that is selected, and it will create 1 to 10 values. OK, using this program, I'm creating 10 values for this drop down, the list of values. Let me execute this one. Here you can see, it has created drop down widget, and it is a drop down box. It will contain values. OK, 1 to 9. OK, so let me comment this and executing the next one, combo box. I'm giving the name combo box. It is also similar. There is no difference between drop down and combo box. Let me execute this one. Here you can see it has created one more widget, that is combo box. There is no difference between drop down and combo box. It has populated 9 values and the default value is 1. And same for combo box also. It has created 1 to 9 and the default value is 1. So another option, in drop down or combo box, we can select only one value. I have selected 4. Maybe for combo box, I'm selecting 7. So we can select only one value at a time. But in case we have to select list of values, then we can go with multi-select. Here, here I have executed. The name of the widget is product. This is multi-select box, and the default value is camera. And I have given the list of values: camera, GPS, smartphone. And this is multi-select option. OK, here we can select multiple values we can select. See here, and I can give default value. I can change default value also. In this case, I have given camera, but if you want to give GPS, we can give any default value. This is multi-select. And the we have come to the last part of the demo. We want to remove the widget. How can we do? So if you want to remove one particular text box or combo box, then we can use command remove. So in this case, I'm going to remove this combo box. So let me execute this one. It has removed. But if you want to remove all the widgets that I created, then I can use a remove all function. Let me execute this one. It has removed all the widgets. That's it. We have covered all the comments in Databricks utility. Hope you understood and enjoyed the video. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel and don't forget to click on the bell button. Also, like and comment my videos. Thank you.